I'm now going to call the meeting to order. To David Bucknam, Constable of the Town of Skowhegan, Maine, in the County of Somerset, greetings. In the name of the state of Maine, you are hereby requested to notify and warn the voters of the Town of Skowhegan in said county and state, qualified by law to vote in town affairs, to meet in the grandstands at the Skowhegan State Fairgrounds in said town on Saturday, the 29th day of August, AD 2020, at 10 o'clock in the morning, to transact all business as herein enumerated in the articles of the town warrant. Article number 1, to choose a moderator to preside at said meeting. Now I'd like to accept nominations. Just wait for the microphone, please.
I would nominate Ken Lexia.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do nominations cease? And is there a second? The candidate is Ken Lexia. And now I will be coming down to collect my votes. Ken, can you come forward so I can swear you in? Vote for Ken. I state your name.
I, Ken Lexia,
Do swear
swear
that I will support the Constitution
that
of the United States
the United States
and of the state,
and of this state,
so long as I shall continue
so long as I shall continue
a citizen thereof,
a citizen thereof,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I state your name.
I, Ken
Do
Lexia,
swear
swear
that I will faithfully discharge,
that I will faithfully discharge,
to the best of my abilities,
to the best of my ability,
the duties
the duties
incumbent upon me as moderator
incumbent upon me as moderator
of this meeting,
of this meeting,
according to the Constitution
according to the Constitution
and the laws of the state,
and the laws of the state,
so help me God.
so help me God. Good morning. Can you hear me? Good. Let me know if that's a problem. Okay, just to get some ground rules, please be recognized by the moderator before you speak. Direct your questions up here to the moderator, and we'll find someone to answer them for you. There will be no negative motions. You'll notice when you look at the money articles, they're all capped, which means that the amount that's being requested is in the body of the article. And what that means under Maine law is that that amount cannot be exceeded. You can only approve that amount or an amount that's less. So, in looking at the warrant, it would be helpful to get a motion on the floor. You can simply say, I make a motion that we approve Article 2 as written. Now that motion needs a second. Once it's on the floor, it can be debated. It can be amended, but it can only be amended downward, not upward. And we will only deal with one amendment at a time. It's too confusing to deal with multiple amendments. So I would ask that someone make a motion just to get it on the floor. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be approved, but we need to have something to be able to talk about. I'll ask people to raise their hands when it comes to a vote. If it's difficult to tell from here whether the motion has passed or been defeated, then we may ask for a standing vote. And if it gets particularly complicated, and hopefully that won't happen, at the request of 7 of you, we can have a written ballot. We do have some non-residents here who are department heads and have particular relevance to many of the articles here. So I would like to start out by asking for a motion to allow non-residents to speak to a specific article for which he or she has important information. Would someone make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
It's been moved and seconded to allow non-residents to speak to a specific article. We need 2/3 approval. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All those opposed, the motion carries. Once again, just as a reminder, when people come around with the microphones, please don't handle it. And also, please keep your mask on when you're speaking into the microphone, if you can, to protect the person holding the microphone. So we will begin, unless there are any questions about procedure. Yes?
You said that we couldn't increase the motion, you mean above what's written in the book, but if someone makes a motion for less on any article, it can be increased up to the level that's written, right?
Well, an article can't be approved in an amount that exceeds what's listed in the body of the article. If someone were to make a motion for a lesser amount, and that was defeated, somebody else could make an amendment to go higher, but it can't exceed what's in the body of the article.
Right, but the amendment can be higher, but not higher than what's
Yes.
written. Thank you.
Right. Any other questions about procedure? Let's start with Article 2. Do I have a motion?
I would move that we raise $1,614,489 under Article 2.
And it's been moved and seconded. Let me just say, I traditionally read each article, but to expedite matters, unless someone requests me to, I'm not going to read the article. If you want me to, just raise your hand and I'll be glad to do it. But that does take time. So we have a motion to approve Article 2 in the amount of $1,614,489. And let me just say, before we go into discussion, that it could even be simpler if you just were to say, I move for passage of Article X as written, okay? So you don't even need to get into details. So the motion's been made, it's been seconded. Are there any questions or comments regarding Article 2? All those in favor of Article 2, please raise your hand. All those opposed, Article 2 carries. Article 3. We have a motion.
I move favorable action on Article 3 as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve Article 3 as written. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed, Article 3 carries. Article 4. Yes, sir.
I move to pass Article 4 as written.
Thank you. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 4 as written. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed, Article 4 is approved. Article 5.
I move Article 5 as written.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 5 as written. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
What exactly does the other protections involve with this?
So the question is, what are other protections?
Other protection covers animal control, fire hydrants, streetlights.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 5 as written, raise your hand. All those opposed, Article 5 is approved. Article 6. Okay, is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 6 as written. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
The article on general assistance was brought to about $16,000 from last year, and it's for the preceding year. I just wondered what the rationale was behind that.
Did you do that?
So we have been able to reduce our budget by adhering to strict guidelines as set by the state and also working with people to help find other resources that are available.
Any other questions or comments regarding Article 6?
I'm sorry, I'm going to break the rules here. This isn't to do with Article 6, but would you repeat when one of the people sitting asks a question? We can't hear them. But could you, repeat the question or what they're saying?
I think the previous question was regarding a reduction in the amount of general assistance compared to last year. And somebody was seeking an explanation for that, and you got the answer from Christine. But yes, I will make a point of doing that. Any other questions or comments regarding Article 6? All those in favor, please raise your hands. All those opposed, Article 6 carries. Article 7.
Action on Article 7 as written.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 7 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, Article 7 carries. Article 8.
So moved as written.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 8 as written. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? The article carries. Article 9.
Article 9 be adopted as written.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 9 as written. Any questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering why the selectmen voted for a lesser amount.
Okay, the question is, why did the selectmen recommend a lesser amount?
So the difference between the selectmen's recommendation and the budget committee's recommendation is that we have proposed to add an administrative assistant position to the Public Works Department. This is in preparation for the retirement of our elected road commissioner, and we felt that it would be necessary to get someone in to assist with the administrative work, to learn a lot of the administration that goes on in that department, also to help assist the next road commissioner in order to make that department have a successful transition.
Yes.
Not exactly sure how this works, but I'd like to make a motion that we go with the selectmen's recommendation on the money.
So you're moving to amend Article 9, I'm sorry, yes, Article 9, to the amount of $545,436?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second? Was there a second somewhere? Okay, it has been seconded. So we have an amendment that's been made and seconded to have the amount of $545,436 for Article 9, which is Public Works Summer Roads Maintenance. So now we will have an opportunity to ask questions or comments about the amendment. Does anyone wish to speak to the amendment? Yes, Randy.
Mr. Moderator, would it be possible to have our road commissioner come up and speak on this for just a moment or two? We'd love to have his feelings.
Does the road commissioner wish to speak?
Yes, because I'm going to retire next June, I have several projects still in the works that will need to be monitored because we get refunded for these projects through the state, and you have to, you need to know the background of this. And the new road commissioner come in is really not going to have that opportunity because he hasn't done the work before. Also, you know, I have the road survey program that I put together that's been using for years and know what roads we're going at. And that program's not really difficult, but if we have an assistant there that knows, you know, how to do it and what, you know, where we're going with that, that would be a big help for us in our paving program that we use. You know, right now I'm looking at a 10-year program that, the new guy wouldn't have any idea what is going, and then you're looking at the billing, the bills I take care of, you know, with the equipment, and a lot of other things, and safety, and OSHA, and, you know, just, it'd be nice for the transition to have somebody in here that could help.
Any other questions or comments regarding the amendment to Article 9?
Mr. Moderator, I hate to talk about my past, but this probably is a position, and I think the road commissioner would agree on this, that's probably been needed for 10 plus years. So I think it's long overdue, and I think the town would be remiss if we didn't put this person in place for our road commissioner.
Any other questions or comments regarding the amendment? All right, we will vote on the amendment, which is to approve Article 9 in the amount of $545,436. All those in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand. All those opposed? The amendment is defeated. We are now back to the main motion, which was to approve Article 9 as written, which would be in the amount of $574,022. Are there any other questions or comments or further amendments? All those in favor of Article 9 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the article carries. Article 10. Yes, Warren.
I move favorable action on Article 10 as written.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 10 as written. Are there any questions or comments? Yes.
Is the difference the same as it was for the summer budget? Is the difference in the amount recommended because of that reason for the commissioner?
Yes, the difference in recommendations is for the same reason. The administrative assistant position that is proposed, because they would work both seasons, so all year, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the motion to approve Article 10 as written? All those in favor? I'm sorry, do you have a question, ma'am? Sir? No other question? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 11. Someone make a motion, please, on Article 11.
Favorable action on Article 11 as written.
And a second, it's been moved and seconded to approve Article 11 as written. Do we have any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 11 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 12.
Favorable action on Article 12 as written.
And it's been moved and seconded to approve Article 12 as written. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 12 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 13.
I move favorable action on Article 13 as written.
And it's been moved and seconded to approve Article 13 as written. Any questions or comments? Back there, yes, please. We have one back there. We'll get right to you there.
Would someone please speak to this so I have a little more understanding about it?
Okay?
So Article 13 is for our Parks and Recreation Department, that runs our community center, our sports programs, it keeps our field maintenance, and our director is here if you would like to hear more about that.
No, thank you.
Yes, ma'am?
What happens to the money, when it is COVID crisis, and they can't have a lot of the functions that they had to Parks and Rec? what happens with the money every year? I'm sure they'll find a way to use it all, but I think maybe they ought to try to figure out a way to save some of that money, because you don't know how long this is going to last. And I realize they do great things for the kids and the community, but if in their budget increases every single year, with this COVID-19, they're not going to be able to do a lot of things, so where's the money go?
Okay, the question is, the assumption is that with COVID-19, a lot of the, or some of the programs of the rec department are not going to be able to go forward, and the question is, what happens to the money that's been budgeted for those programs if the money's not going to be used?
So I'm going to give a very general explanation for what happens when we don't use all of the funds that are allotted for the department. At the end of the year, now we don't roll over the money. We don't find a way to spend it. If we're able to save money in a department, we will save that money, and that money goes into our undesignated fund balance. Some would also call that our surplus account. Later in the warrant, you will see an article that will deal with how you would choose to use the undesignated fund balance. This year, we have made recommendations to utilize that money to lower taxation, and as well to put money towards the future public safety building. So when we don't spend money, we save it, and then we let you decide how to spend it.
Any other questions or comments on Article 13? All those in favor of Article 13 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 14. And is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 14 as written. Are there questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Please explain the debt retirement.
Okay.
So the debt retirement is to pay for the bonds and or leases that were previously approved at prior town meetings. Currently, we are paying on 3 combined sewer overflow projects. We're also paying for a highway grader, another highway truck, a street sweeper, also our energy performance audit project, and a highway loader. So these are all commitments that the voters have approved at prior town meetings, and now we just need to pay the annual bill.
That's sufficient, sir. Any other questions or comments regarding Article 14? All those in favor of Article 14 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 15.
I move to pass Adjournment.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve Article 15 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 15 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 16.
So moved as written.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve Article 16 as written. Questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 16 as written, raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 17.
So moved as written.
And it's been moved and seconded to approve Article 17 as written. Questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 17 as written, raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 18.
So moved as written.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve Article 18 as written. Questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 18 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 19.
So moved as written.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve Article 19 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 19 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 20.
So moved as written.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 20 as written. Any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Please explain why the last five articles have the capital reserve fund. Each department has its own fund.
Okay. What are these capital reserve funds? Do these departments actually have their own funds? And what are they for?
Yes, we have capital reserve accounts for about 24 different departments and or categories. The category for which it is to be spent is listed in the article. We've also provided budget books for everyone. I don't know if you grabbed them, but these books give you detailed information about how the money that is being requested will be utilized. So definitely feel free to take a look at this, and if you have any questions about a specific reserve account, please let me know.
Why would that all be in one fund and then distributed from that, rather than all keeping track of all these individual funds?
Yes, I guess for proper planning, we try to identify how we're going to utilize the funds. I think that it also provides more transparency to the citizens and voters. And I believe that it would also follow government accounting standards as well. So if you have a specific question about the public works equipment, please let us know.
Any other questions or comments regarding Article 20? All those in favor of Article 20 as written, raise your hand, please. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 21.
So moved as written.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve Article 21 as written. Questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 21 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 22.
So moved as written.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve Article 22 as written. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 22 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 23.
So moved as written.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve Article 23 as written. Any questions or comments?
Explain in more detail what this, public.
Sorry, I'm not sure I heard that.
I need to know a little more detail about this proposed, public works, roads, sidewalks, and they name all these streets. What's gonna happen to these streets? Are we gonna get new ones or streets there?
Okay, so how is the amounts voted in Article 21 and 22? Can there be more specifics as to how that money will be spent? And let's go to our road commissioner.
Each street is different in the sense of what the repairs are doing, but basically, most of this is just paving, overlays, Crescent Street's complete rebuild, the sidewalk on West Front Street is a reconstruction. That's basically what it is. And most of the rest of the stuff is just overlays, except for these little guardrail, which is a new guardrail.
What are overlays?
They're anywhere from 1.5 to 2 inches of asphalt put on the existing road, existing pavement. So like on Adams Street, you have an overlay, but we mill it first, take the existing 1.5 inch asphalt off, and then we put 1.5 inch back in to then raise the road. Now, raise the guards, all the same like that.
Sir, do you need any more information?
How about that?
Okay. We're on Article 23. Thank you, Greg. Are there any more questions or comments? We'll get right to you.
Yes, why did you wait until the week before school started to dig up West Front Street sidewalks?
We wanted to make sure that we had the money, number one. Number two, I couldn't sign a contract with Pike until town meeting. So, having it paid, I wanted to wait until after town meeting to pay it. But as far as taking the asphalt out, that's something that we did in-house that had no expense at the time.
Any other questions or comments on Article 23? All those in favor of Article 23 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 24.
So moved as written.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded to approve Article 24 as written. Do we have any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 24 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 25.
So moved as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 25 as written. Any questions or comments? In favor of Article 25 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 26.
So moved as written.
Second, moved and seconded to approve Article 26 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 26 as written, raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 27.
So moved as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 27 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 27 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed? The motion carries. Article 28.
So moved as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 28 as written. Questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 28 as written, raise your hand, please. All those opposed? The motion carries. Article 29.
So moved as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 29 as written. Questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 29 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed? The motion carries. Article 30.
So moved as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 30 as written. Questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 30 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 31.
So moved as written.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve Article 31 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 31 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 32.
So moved as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 32 as written. Questions or comments? Yes, ma'am. You have, no? Okay. Just waiting for the cameras. Any questions or comments on Article 32? All those in favor of Article 32 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 33.
So moved as written.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 33 as written. Questions or comments? Yes, ma'am. He's coming with the microphone.
I would like to know what $175,000 for the library is for. And I see that the selectmen recommended 150 along with the budget committee. With things the way they are in the economy and trying to wait for state money and things are bad, I would like to make the motion that we go with the 150,000 recommendation of the selectmen and budget committee.
Okay, so you want to make an amendment, but you also ask some questions. Do you want those questions answered? Okay, well, let's take up your questions first. Hold on to your amendment. The question was, what is the $175,000 for? Why did the selectmen recommend $150,000? And then you can make an amendment after those questions are answered. Are you going to answer the questions?
As best I can.
Okay.
There enough. It is not, okay. This is a community of 9,500 people. And of that 9,000 people, last year alone, 16,000 people went through that library. 22,000 plus pieces of books and materials went out to the general public. And in difficult times like this, people depend on that library for just a lifeline, just someone to talk to, some information to gather. And this after, and when COVID hit, just before the state closed down, that library sent out thousands of books to patrons with no restrictions. Take it, enjoy it, do whatever you can to get through this COVID time. And we have been putting out books curbside since then. That is a very active library that supports the emotional and cultural strength of its citizens. And it needs more than that. But we'll be happy with $175,000, trust me.
And with regard to the selectmen's recommendation for a lesser amount, does anybody want to speak to that?
Well, on the 150, that wasn't a unanimous vote, unanimous amount. I wasn't for the 150 amount either. Not saying that the library isn't necessarily a good facility. It's just a lot of money. It just seems like every year it's just more and more money. And I was basically for keeping the amount that we have been giving, which was substantial in itself. So, but the vote of the board, which passed, was 150,000. I felt that was, they could go with that amount and felt comfortable with that.
Do you want to make an amendment? I'm sorry, we're waiting for the microphone.
Every year, like this, the library is a wonderful thing.
Can you speak up a little bit, please?
The library is a wonderful thing. That's not what this is about. It's about what this town can afford and keep affording. And every year, the amount keeps going up. The original time when this started, the town giving them money many years ago, it started out at $25,000. Now it's up to $150,000. So I would like to make an amendment that would go with $150,000.
Okay. So there's an amendment being made. Can you hear? Can you hear us now? Okay. Well, I'm going to repeat what she said. She's making an amendment to the main motion for $150,000 for the library. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to amend Article 33 to $150,000 for the public library. So now we're on the amendment. Are there questions or comments regarding the amendment? Mr. Shea.
Yes, I oppose the amendment. One thing that we better remember is that library was renovated 2 years ago. And one of the things that happened was we have a whole new floor of the library, and we needed more employees, an additional employee to cover that floor. In addition to that, this past summer during the COVID problem, our children's library ran many programs remotely for kids so that they could continue to have reading during the summer. And the last thing I want to say is that Skowhegan is not excessive in what they contribute to our local library. We contribute less in the towns of Caribou, Winthrop, Hampton, Gray, Lisbon, Presque Isle, Montford, and Winslow. And those are approximately our size. All those towns contribute more than $200,000 to their library. So this isn't excessive, and it's a great program to run over here.
We're on the amendment. Does anybody else have any questions or comments regarding the amendment, which is to reduce Article 33 to $150,000? Yes.
I guess that's my point. My concern is they keep doing renovations, they keep asking money from the taxpayers, and the taxpayers don't have a say in how this money is being spent. So, but yet you guys want to keep doing improvements, which I get. But I guess we need to find different ways to be able to do those improvements and not keep putting it on the taxpayers that don't have a say in whether they want those improvements or not. So I guess that's don't have a say, and they just keep doing things. And also, keep doing more and more programs, which obviously is gonna cost more money, which is gonna come back to the taxpayers for, asking for more money, which we don't have a say in.
We're on the amendment. Any other questions or comments? Let's get someone different. We'll come back to you, Linda. You are different, but let's go up the stairs.
I'm just saying, you're talking about $25,000 when you've already approved a whole lot more than that. This is for our children, this is for the intelligence of our community, it's for programming and everything else, and it's pretty sad that we have to vote to take $25,000 out of this budget.
Yes, Randy?
Can I
Oh,
add
I'm sorry, go
that
ahead.
the improvements that Mr. York is talking about those funds were raised separately. They did not come out of the budget that the town approved for the library. Those funds to improve that building were raised over 10 years. It did not come out of the funds from the town.
Okay, thank you for that. And Randy, do you want to say something?
Yes, if I could, real quick, Mr. Moderator. I wish we wouldn't keep saying the town, because aren't they part of our town? They certainly are. And we do have a say. We have a say every time we gather and say yes or no. We want to continue with giving these folks the money they request, or we don't. So we do have a say each and every year.
Thank you for that, Linda.
Is somebody okay?
It's been said, thank you. Anybody else? Yes. I'm sorry, thank you.
So this is not only for everybody that lives in this community, but more so for our children. The expenses for running a library is extensive. And if you compare it to what it cost 15, 20 years ago, you're not going to get the same budget. That's like saying, I bought a house 15, 20 years ago, and now I'm buying a house for the same price today. That is not even a reasonable thought. So for us to say that, or question why the amounts are raised, we should understand what we're looking at. And we're looking at the economy and what it takes to run a library successfully.
Thank you for your thoughts. Any other, yes sir, right up there. We're on the amendment now.
My issue is that according to this amendment, we had a very big increase. Now, I don't know about the other taxpayers, but that increase in percentage didn't show any effect on my monthly check. So how do you expect a regular taxpayer, not having any increases in his wages, to be able to pay these high increases in all his expenditures?
Okay, that's a rhetorical question, I assume. Any other questions or comments? We're on the amendment now. Yes?
Just to be clear, this is still more than they asked for last year. They are getting more money.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
If we could speak to it, does this still include the position? So I don't think that's been brought up.
I'm not sure everybody got that question and answer. What was your question?
Well, during the budgeting process, they looked at bringing on a new director, hopefully everyone here. And they would essentially start fundraising, so we wouldn't have this discussion every year. I think since the pandemic, it sounds like that's been removed, and that's probably why the amount requested when we do this stuff. But I actually didn't know if that's still the case.
Okay, so your question's been answered. Okay, any other questions or comments on the amendment? Okay, we're going to vote on the amendment, which is to reduce the amount of the appropriation to 150. Oh, I'm sorry, man, go ahead.
So I just heard someone explain that the 150 is still more than what they got last year or what they got last year.
Is that correct, that If 150,000 were approved, that would be more than the town.
Yes, the fiscal year 2020 amount that was raised for the library was $120,294.
So it's from a,
They're still giving you out 25 or so thousand more dollars.
That's
They
correct.
made it 150.
yes, that's correct.
I also want everyone to note that the library, like all the other organizations, had to turn in petitions that were verified by the town clerk's office, and they got registered voters' signatures for $235,000 this year. So let's just take that into consideration, that people did sign a petition for them to get 235, and they have agreed to reduce it to 175. So we did have registered voters that agreed with their petition that they submitted to the town of Skowhegan.
Yes,
Section C is asking that you could repeat the answers to the questions because they can't quite hear over there.
okay, well, I think we established, based upon Christine's answer, that the 150,000, which is in the amendment, is more than the town, by about $30,000, more than the town approved last year. And Gail made the point that there was a petition submitted by taxpayers or voters for $235,000, but they agreed to reduce that to $175,000. Are there any other questions or comments regarding the amendment? So we're going to vote on the amendment, which is $150,000. All those in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand. All those opposed to the amendment, raise your hand. The amendment is defeated. So we're now back to the main motion, and the main motion is Article 33 as written in the amount of $175,000. Does anybody have any further thoughts or comments they want to share on Article 33 as written? All those in favor of Article 33 as written, raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. You can all hear me back there, right? Okay. Article 34.
So moved as written.
Second? It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 34 as written. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 34 as written, raise your hand. All those opposed? The motion carries. Article 35.
So moved as written.
Second? Moved and seconded to approve Article 35 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 35 as written, raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 36.
So moved as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 36 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 36 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 37.
I move favorable action on Article 37 as written.
Any questions or comments on Article 37? Who seconded on Article 37? We had a second, okay. Any questions or comments on 37? We have someone up. No? Okay. Yes, sir.
just wanted someone from the Budget and Finance Committee to explain how that is, how they're going to come about.
Okay. Is there someone from the Budget Committee present who wants to explain their vote?
All right, so initially reviewing this request, we didn't receive any financials, so we voted to postpone the vote on this. What we did receive, some of the committee members felt were insufficient data for financials, and so upon that, they voted to zero funding.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, the question was, why did the Budget Committee vote to zero fund the Chamber of Commerce? And the answer, as I understand it, and Mr. Savage can correct me if I'm wrong, is that they did not receive adequate financial documentation from the Chamber of Commerce, so they voted for zero funding. Is that your answer? Okay. Did you hear that? Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments on Article 37? Yes, sir. Who's got the mic? Oh, up there?
I was just wondering what adequate financial information would have looked like.
Okay. Christian, do you want to answer that question?
What I sent out to the committee, they felt like they needed a budgeted document for an actual budget. What we received was information in the email. They didn't feel it was detailed enough to make a financial decision on their funding request.
Okay, so the question was, what kind of information did the Budget Committee want that they didn't get? The answer was that they wanted a budget, and they don't, apparently didn't believe they got what they needed.
So what the Budget Committee and the Selectmen received from the Chamber of Commerce was a budget that stated 3 expense categories. The first being events, programming, marketing, in the amount of $80,000. The second line was administrative in the amount of $40,000. And the third line was meetings in the amount of $4,000. That is the extent of the budget that was received by the Budget Committee from the Chamber.
Yes.
I want to say that the Chamber has done an outstanding job, especially during this COVID process, in raising funds for local businesses, and I support this petition.
Any other?
They also got sufficient signatures from the citizens of Skowhegan.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Jason, do you want to say anything? No? Okay. Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
I would expect the Chamber of Commerce to actually be able to present a line item budget that would support the total amounts in the categories that they request of funding.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments on Article 37? Yes, sir. Wait for the mic, please.
I'll read it. In 1989, I was president of the chamber. Back in 1989, we got $25,000 from the town of Skowhegan. And it's continued for 31 years that I know of. I don't know why today they would recommend no money.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments on Article 37 in the amount of $24,000? All those in favor of Article 37 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed? The motion carries. Article 38. Yes.
I move favorable action on Article 38 as written.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded to approve Article 38 as written. Are there questions or comments? Yes, sir. Speak up, please.
I'll do my best. First, I have a question, then I have some comments. It says without petition. I'm just checking if that's a typo, if there is some reason why it's written as without petition. We did submit a petition, and we were notified, Big George was notified by the town clerk's office that the petition had been verified.
That was a typo. You are correct. That is a typo. I am so sorry that we missed that during review, and thank you for pointing that out.
Are we good?
Now, Bonnie, you have comments? So, there was a petition. Thank you for that. Do you have any comments, sir?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I'm going to. Thank you, Patty. So I'm Darrell White. I run the business side of Lake George Regional Park. I would just like to make some comments since it's unusual for the park to come to the town for money. So first of all, in relation to this request, we have some goals, and one of those goals is to achieve operational self-sufficiency on the financial side of the park. We're working to save some park assets that are in decline, and we're also looking to add community programming. Our situation is that on an annual basis, the park runs a deficit of about 10 to 15% on the operational budget, and we have to make up for those funds via fundraising. And so our fundraising, those funds have to then be applied to keeping the park open, and we then have to defer maintenance on the building assets in the park. So many of those are in serious disrepair. We have some challenges in regards to dealing with these issues. We have a mandate at the park to provide affordable access to the public. Therefore, using a volume approach is a difficult scenario, but we also have a mandate to be environmental stewards for the park, so the volume approach is a bit of a challenge. We also are facing increasing costs, mostly due to the increases in minimum wage over the last couple of years, as staffing is by far our most significant operational expense. We do have some opportunities to address these challenges. The culture for use of the park is that the east side is typically very busy, and the west side, the Skowhegan side, is not as busy, and mostly that's because of the wide open beach that's attracted to families on the east side. So we have an opportunity to draw more people to the park on the west side without affecting the cultural use. We have underutilized building assets that we can engage to drive new revenue, and we also have an opportunity to target new user groups that would be willing to pay a higher price point for use in the park for things like events, etc. So maximizing these assets positions the park to also add more programming. Just a brief overview of our project costs. We're looking to do social hall renovations, and we estimate that will cost us $72,500. We realized through the process with capacity, our goals towards capacity, that we're going to need to add an addition, which would include 7 toilets and urinal facilities, a catering space, and storage. and that will cost $200,000. And with that, we'll need a new septic system at $50,000. So our total renovation budget currently is $322,500. We also have 5 lakeside cabins in need of renovation. Our estimates there are $52,200 for the renovations of the cabins, another $20,560 for an ADA access ramp, and the total for those renovations are $72,600. Our funding status, and I guess first of all, I'd like to thank friends of the park who have contributed to our Tree of Life campaign to the tune of $50,000. The Somerset County Commissioner's Office, who have donated, supplied grant funding of $30,000. And then we've had 2 significant anonymous donations totaling $200,000. So today we've raised $280,000 towards this project, with the $30,000 request today still pending. Also, and lastly, and this is in regards to the timing of our request, and also acknowledging the recommendation by the Budget Committee, we were approached by the Bureau of Parks and Land and encouraged to apply for an LWCF grant in which they would match the funds that we have raised. So it's important that we can fundraise as much as possible between now and May of 2021, which is the deadline for submission of that grant. Thank you, and I'm open to any questions.
Any other questions or comments regarding Article 38? Thank you for that, sir. Any other questions or comments? Article 38. All those in favor of Article 38 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 39.
I move that we approve Article 39 as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 39 as written. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 39 as written, raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 40.
Approve Article 40 as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 40 as written. Questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 40 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 41.
I move we approve Article 41 for the Family Violence Project as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 41 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 41 as written, raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 42.
I move we approve Article 42 for Spectrum Generations as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 42 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 42 as written, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 43.
I move we approve Article 42 for hospital volunteers as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 43 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 43 as written, raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 44.
To moderate amendment of Article 44 for sexual assault, crisis and support as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 44 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 45.
I move we approve Article 45 for the Skowhegan Community Food Cover as written.
Moved and seconded to approve Article 45 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion carries. Article 46.
I move to approve Article 46 as written.
Second, moved and seconded to approve Article 46 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? The motion carries. Article 47.
Moderator, I move to approve Article 47 as written.
So that would be for $500,000 for public safety and $300 to reduce taxation. A total of $800,000. Moved and seconded. Article 47 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 47 as written, raise your hands. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 48. So moved as written. Second. Moved and seconded to approve Article 48 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 49. So moved as written. Second, moved and seconded to approve Article 49 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed, raise your hand. The motion carries. Article 50. So moved as written. Second, moved and seconded to approve Article 50 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 51. So moved as written. Is there a second on 51? It's moved and seconded to approve Article 51 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 51 as written, raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 52. So moved as written. Second. Moved and seconded to approve Article 52 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of Article 52 as written, raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 53. So moved as written. Second, moved and seconded to approve Article 53 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 54. So moved as written. Second, moved and seconded to approve Article 54 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Article 55. So moved as written. Second, moved and seconded to approve Article 55 as written. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 56. So moved as written. Second, moved and seconded to approve Article 56 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 57. We have a motion on 57.
Motion as written.
Second? Is there a second? Moved It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 57 as written. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed, the motion carries. Article 58. We have a motion.
I would make a motion that we approve Article 58 as written.
Okay, so, is there a second? It's moved and seconded to approve the amended shoreland zoning ordinance. Any questions or comments? Yes, sir. Over here.
Is there a simple explanation of what the changes are? I haven't had a chance to review them.
Can someone, who can speak to that? Yes, can you give the microphone, please? And tell us who you are.
My name is Joel Weaver. I'm the contracted planner for the town by AD Cobb. The amendments to the shoreline zoning ordinance are related to the regulation of timber harvesting within the shoreline zone. I believe as it currently stands, we have an arrangement with the Forest Service, and we want to try and have an arrangement with the Forest Service where the Forest Service is responsible for all the regulation of timber harvesting, so that our code enforcement officer and the town doesn't have to. As a result, we just have to remove certain sections from the shoreline zoning ordinance completely, so that it's now the responsibility of the Forest Service and not the town.
Does that answer your question? Did you hear that, sir? Not really? Okay, so timber harvesting in the shoreland zone will now be regulated by the Maine Forest Service, not by the town. Is that the essence of the amendment? Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments regarding the amended shoreland zoning ordinance? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
This, just a quick question for Joel. This brings us in complete compliance with being an option 1 town now, correct?
I'm sorry, Wayne, can you repeat that?
Sure. This brings us in full compliance with being an option 1 town, so forestry controls everything other than timber harvesting for approved construction.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Any other questions or comments regarding the amended shoreline zoning ordinance? All those in favor of the amendments to the shoreline zoning ordinance, please raise your hand. All those opposed? The amendment is approved. Article 59. Moved and seconded to approve Article 59 as written, which would be adopting the Consumer Fireworks Ordinance. Are there any questions? Yes, over here. Did you have a comment, sir?
Yeah, I have a question. The way it's written, Consumer Fireworks does not include the following products, and it lists the very products we're having a problem with. Are those already regulated that they won't be used, or does this not concern them and they'll be able to be used all of the time, anytime?
Okay. Someone want to answer that?
We didn't hear the question over here.
In the definition of consumer fireworks, there are a number of exceptions. So the question is, does that mean that those accepted fireworks are now unregulated and can be used at any time?
We use the definition that the state has used through the Fire Marshal's office, so that it's in line with that. I believe whatever the state definition of consumer fireworks is based on a legal definition, and anything outside of that is considered something as a non-consumer firework.
Christine?
I also want to add that from outside of consumer fireworks, there are fireworks that are regulated by the state, and they must get state approval in order to use the larger fireworks that you see in those displays. In addition, the list also excludes sparklers that do not contain magnesium chlorate or perchlorate. So those are fine to be used, I believe, right? Otherwise, the commercial fireworks would need state approval.
Go ahead, does that answer your question?
No.
Okay.
We have been working for over a year to get fireworks banned in town because of the noise, the chemicals, and the frightening factors to animals, people, and nature. And this just lets everyone go ahead and have the fireworks anyway, because of per se this, the fireworks, per marshal. So this is just a waste of time. We might as well just use this to start a fire in our wood fireplaces.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions or comments regarding? Yes, sir. Right there.
It's just that the way it's written, it appears that those fireworks that are accepted can be used anytime. And they're the ones that we have a problem with. It's not about sparklers, it's about the concussion, the sound. More than anything, because people with PTSD, animals are severely affected by this every time it goes off. And it goes off randomly. And you're saying, as far as the enforcement, can you reasonably assure us that we'll have the police come when we call and address the issue with the people that we know are blowing off the fireworks?
Christine?
Okay, let me back up. So, in response to your request for the town to take some action to put something into place, when you came to the Board of Selectmen, we remember that meeting. This is in that response. So we can regulate consumer fireworks. This is to regulate consumer fireworks. So the fireworks that you as a consumer can go to the store and purchase, this is to regulate those. And I believe that that is exactly what you came to us to ask us to regulate. The commercial fireworks, we are not able to regulate those. Those are regulated by the state. So we are regulating the ones that consumers can go to the store and purchase, because that we have the ability to regulate.
So, I thought your question was, look at the exceptions A, B, C, D on the second page. I'm sorry, A, B, C, D on the first page. Your question was, are those being regulated, for instance, A, missile-type rockets, are those being regulated at all? Do they, for instance, are they prohibited from being discharged within 100 yards of a building? Or is that just consumer fireworks? Or is it all fireworks? Was that part of your question?
When we initially put this forward as what we wanted to be regulated in town, I live over by the hospital. There are people who shoot up rockets in the direction of life flights. That is in my notes in the letter that we sent. This will not regulate them. This will not protect life flight and a hospital from being shot down by rockets. So I addressed this with you, and you just basically brushed us off.
Well, let her answer the question. Go ahead.
The consumer fireworks that you might consider missile style or rockets, the ones that are consumer fireworks, yes, this would regulate that. But the exception is regarding types of rockets by the state fire marshal definition, which I believe is separate from the type that you're speaking of. We can and are trying to regulate the consumer fireworks. We can all regulate. regulated in town to protect.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
I guess I would just like to ask the chief, Chief Buckham, I guess I would just like to ask you, I mean, how many complaints do you receive in reference to fireworks?
So during the July 4th celebration, we received 0 fireworks complaints. We received 6 noise complaints, but it was all generated from music and people having a good time. But we did not receive any complaints in regards to fireworks.
And I'm assuming you don't receive any complaints from the hospital in reference to fireworks being shot at the hospital or towards the hospital?
Correct.
Okay, someone else, yes, sir.
I would think reading this that the one thing that eliminates are the mortar type things that you drop in the tube and they go up. Because it specifies rockets with sticks. And those are different than the mortar tubes that you drop those things in and light the fuse. And those are the ones that make the most noise, the most color, and could be shot at a helicopter if somebody was stupid.
Ma'am, did you want to say something?
I just have a quick comment. I've called and complained about the fireworks on several occasions, so I don't know who's answering the phone or taking the data, but it's listed down when you do call. But I personally take data, write it down when I call, and then called on several occasions.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
As this is written, is it even enforceable by the police department, or is it going to waste their time?
Chief, you want to answer that?
So I spoke with her earlier about this ordinance, and I believe you were referring to that as the neighbor type situation. So her question really is, are we able to enforce fireworks if you fail to go next door and ask your neighbor if it's okay if I see fireworks? The answer is no. You will not be able to enforce that. The court systems won't even entertain that thought process, not over this proposal.
Any other questions or comments regarding the fireworks ordinance, which is Article 59? Yes.
If this regulation fails, we are not without protection. We are currently covered under the state ordinance for fireworks. So we do have something in place right now. This is something that a couple of our selectmen put forward to this meeting.
Okay. Any other questions or comments regarding this?
I'd like to introduce an amendment to that.
No, we cannot amend.
Okay.
This cannot be amended in town meeting.
How about just an idea to remove consumer from the wording? Just make it fireworks. Keep it simple. Just make it fireworks. You don't have to accept any. They're already covered. So just cover them all. Just make it fireworks instead of consumer fireworks. Keep it simple.
So, just to be clear, you cannot amend an ordinance in a town meeting. You can vote it down, and you come back again at another time, or you can approve it. Any other questions or comments regarding the fireworks ordinance? No? Okay, all those in favor of adopting the fireworks ordinance, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Let's do that again. Could you raise your hands high if you're in favor of adopting the fireworks ordinance? And if you're opposed, the motion carries. Article 60. So moved. As written? Yes. Yeah, okay, so article, second, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the needle exchange program and needle disposal ordinance. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, sir. Wait for a mic, please.
Whose great idea was this?
Okay.
I can answer that for you, Mr. Moderator. So the needle exchange ordinance came about back in February.
company out, a group out of Portland, Maine, received a certification from the Maine CDC to operate a needle exchange program here in the town of Skowhegan. And it is not just a needle exchange, it's a needle exchange, it is a crack pipe exchange, it is a snorting equipment exchange, to include all the other paraphernalia that goes along with utilizing those types of drugs. The ordinance that was put out to you today is to help regulate how that program is conducted. Right now, they wish to do it mobile, which means they throw it in a car, a van, drive to your neighborhood, pop the trunk, and start exchanging these products out to people who show up. With the ordinance in place, it'll be a brick and mortar. They have to meet certain criteria in order to do that, along with background checks for all their employees, just like we do with taxi companies in town and other things like that. So if you have any other questions, just raise your hand, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, the next one, what's your opinion on it? Do we need...
Sorry, who's talking? Oh, go ahead, sir.
Ambrose McCarthy.
Yes, go ahead.
So Tom...
I'm asking the chief, his opinion, do we need it?
Okay.
Tom, I believe the needle exchange program is an important part of healthy recovery. It helps knock down some HIV, hepatitis A, B, and C type transmissions from people sharing needles. But I want to make sure that we do it safely and we do it with some guidance here. So by voting on this ordinance, that will put those policies in place that they have to utilize in order to conduct operations here.
The question is, does Skowhegan, Maine need it?
Yes, I think every county should have some type of program like that that is regulated.
All right, do we have other persons with questions or comments? Yes, Randy.
I just wonder, now the way it's being done, Chief, you mentioned it's being done in back of vans or trunks or is that legal for them to do that now?
Right now, the governor's executive order allows them to do pretty much anything. Their programming, which takes 4 to 6 month application process took 2 weeks, thanks to the governor's executive order. So a lot of things were thrown out. They didn't complete half the stuff on their application the way it should have been completed properly. And so now here we are. By putting the ordinance in place, it bans any type of mobile purposes for this exchange program. So we can keep them out of our neighborhoods and put them somewhere where it's safe for both the consumer and the person running the property.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
Just a quick comment that this ordinance is needed because without it, they're going to come anyway, but with their guidance, with this, we're keeping it distances from our schools and our community. The rules are needed, so everybody really
And just to be clear, we can't stop them from coming here, but we can regulate and help guide them while they are here.
Other questions or comments?
Who monitors this, and is it an expense for the taxpayers of the town of Skowhegan?
Well, right now, they'd be fully funded through the CDC and the state, but that doesn't mean that will change in the future. A prime example is Portland started up with the same group. A year later, the Portland taxpayers have taken over the program and they are paying for it.
So it appears we're down the road, we're looking at another expense.
I can't answer that question, Tom. All I know is that we need to make sure that we guide and regulate how we conduct business.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of adopting the needle exchange program and needle disposal ordinance, raise your hand. All those opposed? The motion carries. I will entertain a motion for final adjournment of town meeting. So moved. Seconded. All those in favor? Thank you very much for coming.
Everybody watch your steps coming up the stairs, they're a little slick.